So before we get started, we'd love to share our rap song introduction video, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, okay, organic base, this is what you need. Take you to the future, live a life that can be disease-free. All these toxins are taxing on our bodies, no doubt. All these GMOs and these processed foods we can live without. Yeah, wanna see you live a long time. Contaminants in our water and our food supply. From the meat to the dairy and the fish, what a shame. Not realizing that my insides were inflamed. Hold up, I know it's hard to digest, that's right. I found an organic plant-based website. I even got the app, yo, this is where it's at. Promoting a healthy life, it's time to put it on the map. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Hey, Assuaged, let's go.
Hey guys, this is Dumisani Maraire Jr. And I am happy to be here today chatting with you all. We are here for the Assuaged Foundation, and today we are going to be talking about trauma bonding and love bombing, trauma bonding and love bombing, and all the toxic mental health effects that go along with that. My name is Dumisani Maraire Jr. I am a board member here at the Assuaged Foundation, and I am also run my own nonprofit called Love Heals the World as well. Today, we're going to have some student speakers that are going to be here to assist us with this topic. Some of our student speakers are going to be Zuha Mehdi, Chaitanya, Ankush, Ghule. Sorry, let me try that one more time. Chaitanya, Ankush, Ghule. I hope I got that right. And Karizza Cordero. As I mentioned before, I'm a board member, and we are going to have another special featured board member with us today, Crystal Rylowicz, and she's the director of Practicums. I'm also director of media for Assuaged Foundation, so that's what I do around here. We would like to thank our slide contributors who helped put this all together today. We have Sarita Tamang, we have Nicaise Bruno, we have Chiao-Yin Joy Chang, and we have Z King Lee, we have Zuha Mehdi, and once again we have Karizza Cordero. Obviously, we couldn't do this without our amazing sponsors, Restream, who have given us this opportunity to reach the world using their platform. Thank you very much, Restream, for supporting our student team. For those of you who aren't familiar with Restream, Restream's powerful multi-platform streaming capabilities have broadened our reach, connecting us with diverse communities across various social media platforms. Our message of public health and wellness now reaches more of those people who need it the most. So thank you very much, Restream. We couldn't do this without you. So what's our agenda for the day? This is our plan, folks. First, we're going to have an introduction and overview. In the introduction, we're going to go over some of the definitions, the importance of understanding these concepts, and the dynamics involved. After that, we're going to be going into a comparison of trauma bonding and love bombing, which is basically all about understanding the differences and similarities, the signs and symptoms, the techniques used, and impact on mental and emotional well-being. Our third part of our schedule today will be coping strategies, prevention, and awareness. So it's all about breaking free from toxic relationships, the importance of seeking support and professional help, educating, raising awareness, and setting boundaries. And the fourth and final part of our agenda here will be a conclusion and student discussion, where we're just going to recap a lot of the key points and the discussion questions that we went over. All right. So we are going to go ahead and open up the floor for our student speaker, Karizza Cordero, and she will go ahead and let us know a little bit about the introduction.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, introduction. In relationships, there's a hidden balance between feeling loved and being controlled. Trauma bonding and love bonding are ways that manipulative people use to trap others emotionally. It is like being stuck in a harmful cycle without even realizing it. Understanding these tricks is super important. It helps us see when someone is trying to manipulate us and give us the power to say no. We can build healthier relationships and protect our feelings by learning these tactics through today's public health life discussion. So trauma bonding. So trauma bonding, introduced by Dr. Patrick Carnes in 1997, describes the emotional tie between an abuser and the abused, marked by alternating kindness and abuse. It involves intermittent reinforcement, fear, and isolation, fostering loyalty and minimizing abuse, and victims struggle to leave despite harm, facing psychological distress and low self-esteem. Recognizing trauma bonding is vital for addressing abusive relationships as it impacts mental and emotional well-being profoundly, and highlighting the need for awareness and support. So basically allow yourself to recognize and understand the signs of trauma bonding. Also educate yourself, learn about the psychology behind trauma bonding, along with seek support, reach out to those trusted people of yours, and then set boundaries and focus on self-care and be patient with yourself and avoid self-blame. So stages of trauma bonding. So trauma bonding unfolds through the following 7 stages according to Sandstone Care 2024. 1, love bombing is excessively flatters and praises partner. 2 is to trust and dependency, so it does anything to gain the partner's trust and dependence. 3rd, criticism, blames and criticizes partner to make them feel bad about themselves. 4, gaslighting, which manipulates the partner into thinking, I am the crazy one. And then 5, addiction. The partner gets emotionally addicted to the positive reinforcement that comes after abuse. And then 6 is loss of self. The partner loses their sense of self. And then 7 is resignation and submission, where the partner gives in to avoid conflict and please their abuser. So next will be about trauma bonding. So it's important to break the bond. So breaking the bond from a trauma bonding relationship can be challenging, especially since many victims are going through psychological manipulation along with emotional damage and have a fear of isolation. These are some ways, as shown on the right, that people can break the bond of trauma bonding. So 1, recognize the abuse. 2, distance yourself from the abusive individual. Thirdly, attend a support group meeting, practice self-care, which is important, consider seeking professional therapy, engage in constructive conversation by sharing what you need and setting those boundaries, and then try to detach emotionally from the abuser and develop this safety plan. And then lastly, give yourself some time, which is very important.
All right. I guess we have understanding love bombing. Is this one also set up for Karizza as well, or are we moving on to the next student speaker? From what I can tell, it's for Karizza. Oh, this one's for Crystal, it looks like. All right, Crystal, you are up.
Understanding love bombing. Love bombing is a manipulation tactic characterized by overwhelming someone with excessive affection, attention, and praise to gain control or influence over them. It typically occurs at the start of a relationship, creating a fast emotional bond that makes the recipient feel dependent. While it may initially seem flattering, love bombing is a red flag for potential emotional abuse, as it often precedes manipulative and controlling behaviors. The term was initially used in the context of cults, but has since been applied to romantic relationships and other social interactions. Warning signs of love bombing: intense communication that progresses quickly, gifts that go beyond, gifts that go above and beyond, putting you on a pedestal and then mistreating you. Emotional availability used to manipulate the partner, bond that feels too fast. Next, we have techniques of love bombing. Excessive attention and communication is constant text, calls, and messages at all hours, often expressing affection or the desire to be together. Isolation, efforts to distance the target from friends and family subtly or overly to reduce outside influences and criticisms. Rapid commitment, pushing for exclusive commitment, moving in together, or making long term plans unusually quickly. Emotional overload, intense expressions of love and future planning foster a dependency on the love bomber's affection for emotional satisfaction. Over the top gestures, unexpected and extravagant gifts, expensive dates, and grand romantic gestures early in the relationship. Signs and red flags of love bombing: intensity over consistency. The relationship escalates quickly with intense emotions and actions but lacks a stable foundation. Feeling overwhelmed by the love bomber's affection to the point that it feels suffocating or too good to be true. Dependency. The love bomber creates a scenario where the target feels emotionally dependent on their affection and approval. Guilt and obligation. Using guilt or obligation to manipulate, often reminding the target of all the love and effort they put into the relationship. Psychological effects on individuals targeted by love bombing: decreased self esteem. As the intense affection wanes or becomes conditional, individuals may feel unworthy or inadequate without constant validation. Long term psychological impact. The experience of being love bombed can lead to long term issues such as trauma, trust issues, and an increased risk of falling into similar relationships in the future. Isolation from support systems. The targeted individual may become isolated from friends and family, weakening their support network and making them more susceptible to manipulation. Confusion and self doubt. Victims often question their feelings and judgments due to the overwhelming and rapid pace of affection. And last, anxiety and attachment issues. The fear of losing the intense connection can lead to anxiety and the development of clingy or needy behavior towards the love bomber.
Amazing. All right. Thank you very much, Crystal. Now we're going to talk about understanding the differences, because trauma bonding and love bombing can somewhat be confused, and it's pretty understandable how that can happen. So, to speak on that, we have our student speaker, Zuha Mehdi.
Yes, understanding the difference between trauma bonding and love bombing. Trauma bonding is a strong emotional attachment between victim and abuser is formed as a result of cycle of violence. It creates loyalty and attachment to the abuser, making it hard to leave. But in love bombing, an attempt to influence a person by demonstrations of attention and affection. Quickly, this results in gaining trust for manipulation or control. Outcome for the victim. In trauma bonding, it results in sympathy for the abuser and rationalization of the abuse. In love bombing, this leads to emotional dependency and overlooking manipulative behaviors. Manipulation techniques. In trauma bonding, it uses nice behavior followed by harm, making a deep emotional reliance. In love bombing, it uses flattery and gain. Real life examples illustrating trauma bonding. The Manson family. Charles Manson, a captivating yet predatory individual, cultivated a toxic bond with his followers, whom he dubbed the Manson family. Charles Manson was a master manipulator who projected himself as a charismatic leader, weaving religious and philosophical ideologies, capitalizing on the free love ethos of the time to prey on vulnerable young women, often seeking refuge or fulfillment into his fold with the promises of belonging and purpose. We have next example of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. During the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's relationship, there were reports of Amber engaging in love bombing behavior towards Johnny. This included public declaration of love and extravagant gifts and lavish displays of affection. Additionally, court documents from his defamation lawsuit against Amber revealed messages in which she described Johnny as her beautiful boy and expressed an overwhelming affection. These actions were indicative of love bombing, a manipulative tactic aimed at establishing control and a dependence within the relationship. She, Johnny Depp said, she bombed me with what appeared to be love. And Johnny Depp once again said she knew what she wanted and I was an easy target. Analysis of outcomes and implications for survivors. For the example that we had earlier given about the Manson's family, the trauma bonding that led to the tragic loss of innocent lives, like Sharon Tate, actress and model, her unborn child, and Jay Sebring, hairstylist and a businessman. Survivors had to cope with the lasting trauma and the difficult task of moving forward while still feeling the effects of the Manson family's harmful beliefs, which continued to cause pain. Amber Heard's alleged love bombing on Johnny Depp involved showering him with excessive displays of affection, admiration, and attention at the beginning of their relationship, creating an intense emotional bond. However, this behavior allegedly shifted over time, leading to accusation of manipulation and abuse from Depp's side as the relationship deteriorated. Coping strategies. Strategies for breaking free from trauma bonding. Educate yourself about the dynamics of trauma bonding and recognize the signs of manipulation and abuse. Build a support network of support groups, friends, and family who can provide emotional support and guidance. Set boundaries and stick to them. If it means distancing yourself from the abuser, seek professional help from the rapist or counselors who specialize in trauma recovery. Practice self care activities such as mindfulness, exercise, and hobbies that bring you joy and fulfillment.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much, Zuha. So, um, I guess it's time to discuss a couple more coping strategies here. And to help us with discussing some of these coping strategies, we have our amazing student speaker, Chaitanya. Chaitanya, we are ready. Chaitanya, sorry. Hello, Chaitanya. If you're not there, we can take over for you. Just let me know. How
Yeah,
do we know for sure?
yeah, I'm there.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. All right. Yep.
Yeah. So, coping strategies, techniques for resisting love bombing tactics. Take things slow in your new relationships and trust your instincts if something is too good. Maintain a healthy skepticism and be wary of excessive flattery or declarations of love early on in a relationship. Communicate your needs and expectations clearly and set boundaries with your partner. Take time for yourself and maintain a sense of independence outside of the relationship. Seek validation and support from trusted family members and friends who can provide an outside perspective on the relationship. Importance of seeking support and professional help. Just one minute.
Sure.
Uh,
Let us know if you need someone to take over. We're more than happy to.
yeah.
Sorry?
Yes. I'm facing some problem here, so yeah, you can take over for this slide.
Go ahead and take over for this one? Okay, sure. I got you. All right, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and discuss the importance of seeking support and professional help. Now, reaching out to trusted loved ones or support networks for emotional support. That's one of the most important things to do when you're experiencing some love bombing. I think it's important to seek therapy from professionals experienced in trauma recovery and relationship issues. That's very important to go to professionals. Sometimes the people around us, our friends and stuff, they care, but they're not always the best people to talk to in those situations. It's important to know that you're not alone. People can guide you through breaking free from trauma bonding and love bombing. So definitely don't feel isolated. It's important to prioritize your well-being and safety, seeking help if feeling overwhelmed or unsafe. And then I think it's also very important, and I agree with all of these points here, that it's important to know that healing takes time, but with support, you can build healthier relationships in the future. All right. And we are going to talk about a little bit of how to prevent and to be aware of this cycle and how you can break the cycle. So prevention and awareness. So first of all, education is very important when it comes to prevention and awareness. Education can aid in navigating affected individuals through their trauma bonding and love bombing relationships. According to an article from the National Domestic Violence Hotline, reading and sharing online resources is an excellent educational tool. Absolutely. I think reading is very important when it comes to these type of things. Number two, it's very important to spread awareness. So raising awareness can reduce stigma and empower support seeking. Social media is vital for raising awareness. Sharing, liking, and creating educational posts broadens prevention efforts to a broader audience. And third, promoting healthy relationships. Promoting healthy relationships emphasizes mutual respect, consent, and communication awareness. Seek care from loved ones and supportive communities to share experiences, seek guidance, and feel validated in a safe environment. All right, and conclusion here. So, in conclusion, trauma bonding and love bombing are complex dynamics characterized by alternating affection and abuse, leading to confusion and dependency. Recognizing these patterns is crucial for safeguarding mental and emotional well-being and breaking free from abusive relationships. Seeking help and support from trusted individuals or organizations is encouraged, providing a pathway toward healing and empowerment. It's very important to remember you're not alone. Assistance is available to guide you through these challenging circumstances, ultimately fostering healthier connections and personal growth to break those chains and free yourself from those toxic relationships. All right. Now, of course, this is thank you very much, by the way, for all of our students who have contributed to this today with the slides and with the presentations as well on camera here today. Obviously, we have an opportunity for some questions here and for a bit of a student discussion. So number one, do all close relationships involve intense dynamics as discussed in today's live public health discussions? Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and open communion. One's intensity should be different from those core aspects. True love is supposed to feel safe and supportive and allow you to grow as an individual. It does not require constant intensity or manipulation. That's so true. Number two, what are the signs that distinguish between love bombing and authentic affection? Genuine affection is comforting, reassuring, and supportive, making you feel secure and valued. Your partner celebrates your successes and offers support during challenges. They do not stifle your dreams or isolate you from loved ones. Love bombing, initially dazzling, aims to gain control by overwhelming you with affection, potentially leaving you confused and obligated. So I think I have to give you guys an opportunity to answer some of those questions. That's what we're doing, right? Question one and question two. So question one would be, do all close relationships involve intense dynamics as discussed in today's live public health discussion?
I'll go ahead and answer that. I don't think they do. They should just be a healthy relationship. With the toxic bombing, which were good examples, as you presented with the one with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that just shows to you that, like, if you're showing over affection and then you're taking it to your advantage and then hurting that loved one, it's not a healthy relationship. It should be based off of like that mutual agreement, that respect, and that loyalty. And like as we said it, if you do notice anybody or anyone experiencing this, then we should go pretty much like contact like that national domestic violence number, which is super helpful, and then along with seeking help and therapists as previously noted, because this is not good. And love should be happy, it should be healthy, it shouldn't be toxic, and it shouldn't be over fulfilling somebody to the point where like you're using it to your advantage. You should treat them as your whole, your person, and everything.
That's amazing. Anybody else have a contribution to that? And it's good that we can finally see everyone's faces now. Yay, on the main screen. I don't mind reading the rest of the questions. I don't think we need too much of the what they call it, PowerPoint presentation. But anyway, so yeah, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I will add to question one and two. My mother personally abused me as a child, and unfortunately, all three of my adult relationships that I've currently had have been abusive. Because therapy, it can be helpful sometimes if you have brand new therapists that are just, working. They don't understand everything. And so it can be very, very super hard, working with a therapist. And as an adult, I'm in my fourth relationship and it is a little toxic, but we're working on becoming better. And so you have to break those chains, because love is not supposed to be a ball and chain where one day you're beautiful and then the next day you're stupid as mud. So
That's I think that's a great point. I like the second question here. What are the signs that distinguish between love bombing and authentic affection? Because I think we've all heard of that term, love at first sight, right? There's some people who will meet someone and they feel like they're in love with that person. I'm talking about, romantic relationships here. So like, I mean, how is it, how difficult or how easy is it to distinguish between if someone is just trying to love bomb someone, or if is there really love at first sight? Can someone really just meet someone one day and be like, oh my gosh, I just want to give them the world, and really be authentic about it? What do you guys think?
Yes, I feel love at first sight, it can, even if it does happen, it happens only in teenage. I'm not sure. I mean, this is my perspective. In adult life, it's very rare unless and until uh, there's some genuineness in the person, or you just feel some spiritual or some connect with them. Because nowadays we make association with any person for some reason or for some gain. It can be any professional, financial, or personal gains. And yeah, so that's all I just wanted to say. I don't know how it goes with
I
other
I
cultures.
agree. I agree with you. I think love at first sight. It like you said, when we're younger, as teenagers, maybe we feel it, but as an adult, I feel like you have to get to know people. So yeah, it is a little strange when people meet someone, and I have met some couples who, you know, they knew each other for a week and they got married or something, and they're still together. So that does happen sometimes, but I think it's rare, and I think usually the rule is that if someone's a little too much, if it's too much too soon,
Yeah,
you
too
got to
much.
be a little cautious.
Yeah, too much sugar. I mean, sugar coating, or yeah, you can. If the words don't match the action, that's a sign.
Absolutely. If anyone else has anything else to add to that second one, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I'll move on to the third question. All right. I think we'll go ahead and move on to the third question. So, third question, um, what steps can I take if I find myself in a relationship like this? Our instincts often detect warning signs before we consciously acknowledge them. If something does not feel right, trust your gut. Speaking to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist can offer valuable support and insight. If leaving an abusive relationship is necessary, prioritize your safety. Resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1 800 799 7233, and their website can help you develop a safety plan. And let's go ahead and pause on that third question right there. And I'll give another example which wasn't talked about in this presentation. But seeing as we're talking about all these celebrities, I mean, the big one right now is the diddler, right? P. Diddy and Cassie. And that's all over the news right now. And who knows who else was involved in that. And, you know, it's very sad to hear some of the things that are being accused, right? Um, and some of the things that we're seeing in the media. So from what we can see, like for example, the last video that they released on that situation, she found herself in a situation. And what steps do you think? I mean, it looks like she tried to run away. He stopped her. What steps can people take when they find themselves in relationships like that? Because usually, if you find yourself in a relationship like that, it's usually with someone who's got some sort of power or hold over you, so it can be a little difficult to leave, so to speak. What do you guys think people can do if they're in situations like that?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I would like to say that first of all, close relationships are all about connection, but that connection doesn't have to be a roller coaster ride of intense emotions. So, healthy relationships thrives on stability and mutual respect. So, answering your question, I go here. First step should be recognizing the red flags, admitting that the relationship is unhealthy, and second step would be trusting your gut and standing for yourself. That I making boundaries, the healthy boundaries, that this is out of control. This is going beyond a point which I cannot bear. And lastly, talking to your close ones whom you trust, and you can share your heart with them. And lastly, I would say that considering professional help, if you have no one, go on, move on, and talk to a therapist for help, because you need to sort this out. If you don't like sort these things out and you just keep it within yourself, it leads to resentment, and resentments never come out of, you won't come out of that relationship. You have to solve it, and then you have to move and talk to someone whom you trust. Yeah, this is my answer.
Got it. Anybody else have any contributions for that one? All right. I think basically it's important to talk to people, right? Is what it comes down to when you find yourself in a situation like that. And yeah, it's definitely important to find people you trust. I think it, I'll be careful when I say this because I think friends and family, I think they mean well all the time, but they don't always know how to handle these situations. So I would be a little hesitant to talk to certain friends and family sometimes. They don't always have, they have the best interests, but they don't always have the best advice. Um, but if you have a friend or family who is involved in mental health or in uh, different types of things like that, who can really look at a big picture and really get you some help, I think it's very important. But sometimes friends and family, I feel like there have been situations where friends and family actually just kind of not necessarily encourage people to stay in the situation, but they don't necessarily try to encourage them to get out because they just want that person to be happy, and they're like, whatever it takes for you to be happy, as opposed to whatever it takes for you to be mentally healthy, if that makes sense. Um, question number 4, which I was going to move on to as well, which I was, thinking about as well, is what can I do to support someone I know who might be going through trauma bonding? The more you understand trauma bonding and abuse, the better you can support someone experiencing it. When helping, establishing clear boundaries and avoid, when helping, avoid, sorry, let's try that again. When helping, establish clear boundaries and avoid getting entangled in relationship drama. Listen attentively, validate their feelings, and avoid judgment or criticism, even if their decisions seem unclear. Prioritize empathy and express your care, offer practical assistance, and encourage them to explore their options and make their own decisions. I think that's very important because sometimes, you're trying to help somebody, you don't want to step on toes, right? Or you don't want to upset them. If you upset someone sometimes, um, that can really just, I feel like, it's important to validate their feelings, avoid judgment and criticism. I think that's very important. Um, and establish clear boundaries. So I personally, I've had family members who have been in abusive relationships, right? As in being the victim. And sometimes you try and you go and you talk to them and you say, hey, this is wrong, right? I had a family member who literally had a gun pulled on them, and we all went and got involved. But the family member, after it was all said and done, still went back, right? He went back to the abusive relationship. And, you know, as family, we all tried the best we could, but it's like, someone is going to make their own decision, especially when they're an adult, right? So, what do you think is the best way to support someone who may be going through these situations without stepping on their toes or messing up your relationship with that person?
Um, yes. So what happens during these kind of situations is like if the person is very vulnerable emotionally, and their social, I would say, they don't have too many friends at that time, or the friends which were there, they are also not available. And when we go to the family, uh, there's like mostly in most of the cultures, like they have problems opening up about these things to their family members. But what they can do while growing up, or even when they're suffering from a problem, is like there's a situation, a paradox, like in human psychology, that if if someone else also has another problem, not like the emotional ones, but if someone is suffering a problem which is financial, so they can give some advice related to emotional side. Meaning both are suffering some form of problem, but it's like you can empathize with the people who have same pain. It can be any form of pain, be it physical, emotional, mental, or materialistic pain, anything. So it connects with the human frequency, and then I mean, it's a little bit of different form of coping mechanism, but it's like if I am suffering something which is uh, like I know what it is to lose something, then I can understand a person who is going through love bombing or who is having toxic relationship, because I've seen that kind of feeling in me when I'm working at a place and I'm feeling toxic environment through my work. So what I mean to say is like I can understand the suffering. So that also can be a mechanism. It's not always that people, the closest people to you will have the best advice. It can be even, you never know. You're just sitting in a library or a coffee shop, and someone who gazes at you and they say, "I think you're not doing well in your personal life or whatever." They make out, and they may tell you something which you never know. It may work for you. And if the last point I just wanted to say is that we as human beings, we talk politely to strangers, and we don't care when we are with our closed one. So that also helps. The way the words are said, that matters a lot. So yeah, that helps.
I
Mhm.
like that. The way the words are said. Absolutely. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it, correct? Anybody else have some input on that? Supporting someone who you know who might be going through trauma bonding.
Yeah, to add that scenarios encourage, well, like first we have to remember that we cannot control any situation. We are offering help, so it's important to remember that trauma bonding is a complex response to abuse, and healing, definitely healing takes time from trauma bonding. So we have to be patient and take care, ask the person to take care of themselves and encourage them to talk more about their experiences, but we should not pressure them, because uh, if they don't want to talk up to it, let them be, give them some time, give them some space. Be patient and ask them to be patient. Encourage them to build a strong support system of friends and family, so that as Yumi said, we cannot trust anyone. Like some people are hesitant to talk, but at least a therapist or someone whom they know to talk to. So because these are needs to avoid would be criticizing the abuser, excuse me, because this puts them in a very defensive way to make them very less likely to open up if we are continuously criticizing the abuser in front of them. And it's important to remember that trauma bonding takes time to heal, and it's very complex response to an abuse, so we have to be patient and give them support, because sometimes love bombers definitely or may use guilt trips or emotional outbursts for them to control their behavior, even when they are out of their relationship. So their mind would be on that this, they were once in control of them. So genuine affection that involves an open communication would definitely help.
Open communication, absolutely. And I think the important takeaway from there too is like not to judge people, right? Not be very judgmental. I think it's important. I agree with what you're saying, that we should I think you got to try to acknowledge what they're going through, whether you've been through it or not. People always feel like you have to have been through it. I'm sure most people know the difference between sympathy and empathy, so you can always feel for them, even if you haven't been through it, and just try to put yourself in their shoes, right?
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything else to add to that? How can we support someone we know who might be going through trauma bonding?
Yes, I just would like to say, be cautious, but be non judgmental, because every single abuse case is different, no matter how crazy it sounds, until you walk in the shoes of being abused by any nature, whether it be financial, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually. You really, a textbook can't really tell you anything. And therefore, You know, a counselor can help and family and friends can listen, but if you don't know the proper avenues to get you help through your local police service, if you have children through DHS or CPS to get the children removed from the home to get you to safety. Haven House is a shelter for women with children. These are things that the average person doesn't know of. And so when you're trying to help, having that education and knowledge without that judgment, no matter how crazy the situation may be and may sound, just have that compassion and know that that person is crying for help, even if they continue to stay in that situation, which is heartbreaking because their judgment is very clouded and they can't make the proper call to get out. But when they are ready, they need that help. And I, went through that several times my own self. So it is never easy to just get up and leave. You're losing your financial assistance, your home, your pets, your kids, your family. But sometimes you have to get out because nothing is stronger than love for yourself. And so the message for me is take care of yourself. Love will always find its way through another human being. Strangers at shelters can give you more love than these trauma bonding and love bombing and just crazy relationships. It's not worth it. Save yourself because you are worth saving. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is so important. And you touched on people do feel like they're going to lose a lot if they walk away from these situations sometimes. Um, and I like the way you concluded with, you got to save yourself first, because if, it's like when a plane is going down, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first, right? And then go put it on everybody else, because if you're gone, and with trauma bonding and with abuse and stuff, I mean, it can literally be life threatening, right? So you have to make sure that your life you're still around to even have something to lose, because you could lose them all and they could lose you, ultimately, is what it comes down to, right? So yeah, I think if we have any more input on that last one, that fourth question on how to help someone and support someone who might be going through trauma bonding, please feel free.
I do. I actually have a personal with my sister and my family. She was going through it in high school. My parents, since in our culture, for Asian culture, like seeking mental health back then wasn't really a thing. So I just dislike the stigma and misconceptions, and also growing up as a military family. I know my dad was hard on us. He was very protective, so he was kind of like giving us like the beat down, saying like that's what you get and move on and you learn from it. But like what we've been saying, it's like as family we can only do so much. We can be their support system, but sometimes they take what we say with a grain of salt. It just hurts seeing that like in person, and I wanted to do more, but like now bringing about topics like this, and I'm happy that we were able to talk about this as a group, is just to spread awareness. Like these things do happen, and it shouldn't be considered as a misconception or a stigma when somebody does this, and that you can live and learn from it. We do need the help that we need, and we need to seek, and whether it is a therapist, and if it doesn't help, but finding out that there are resources out there, like how pretty much Crystal has mentioned, like they're awesome to try to get yourself out of these type of situations. And I just wish more at the time we had that addressed growing up, and then also that all of these resources can be used in full force to help prevent these toxic relationships and mental health effects that coincide with it.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the stigmatization, and I don't think that's just in the Asian community. I think that's like just human nature. There's a lot of stigma surrounding anything that involves mental health or anything that involves abuse a lot of the times. And let's just face it, especially well, men or women, a lot of the times people go and talk about this and they're not believed, right? Especially if you're talking about someone powerful. I go back to the P. Diddy situation. Sorry, I'm obsessed with that. But I just watched a little interview with uh, Cassie's best friend at the time, and everybody asks, well, why didn't the friends around the person say something? Why didn't they do something? Where were the friends? Where were the family? Where was the father? If that was my child, I would have went and beat him up or whatever, right? Um, and I can't speak for her parents, but the best friend, from what she said, she did say something. She actually did, and she tried to get involved. She said something in front of even Diddy, and tried to bring things up, but ultimately she said that she felt like it was very important to give her enough time and make her move whenever she was ready. And I think that was very important to hear, that you don't want to be too forceful when you're helping someone in that situation, because you can mess up your relationship with them. And ultimately, a lot of the times when couples fight, right, when couples fight, if you go and you get in the middle of the argument, when they get back together, they're usually going to hate you, both of them, right? So you wind up losing both. So I understand why people are hesitant to get in the middle of it. Um, but I think it is important to say something, just like she said she did, and still be able to give people enough space and time to come to their own decisions. All right. If we have anyone else who wants to add to that, please feel free. All right. I think that's all of us, right? Thank you so much for your meaningful contributions. I think it's a very important topic that obviously we can just look around in the world, in the media. It's something that needs to be talked about. It's affecting regular people. I mean, for every celebrity that we hear who's going through this, there's probably like 1,000 regular people who are going through it, right? Probably even more. Um, so for us regular folks, we need to be there for each other, because it's not always going to wind up on the news when it happens to us. There's not always going to be, a bunch of people behind us supporting us. So it really comes down to having friends and family. And, if that fails, then some professionals who can come in and support. Um, and yeah, never be afraid to go to the law if it becomes violent. I'll always say that. All right. Well, I could talk about this all day, so we're going to go ahead and conclude this here unless anyone else has any other contributions. And I would like to just go ahead and thank you all for participating today with the Assuaged Foundation. It was amazing talking with all of our students today, and hopefully someone listening to this can take something away from it, and hopefully we can help change someone's situation, whether they're going through the type of trauma we're talking about and the love bombing, or whether they're the one giving it. Sometimes people need to hear things from other perspectives, so that maybe we can change some lives out there. That's the whole point. Correct. So thank you very much.